I want to show you a few highlights that I thought were interesting from the first Leaders Debate hosted by Maclean's and live streamed on YouTube. I thought there were some terrifying moments when they talked about oil and gas. There's a demonization of that industry. It's almost like they're trying to turn it into a tobacco industry or something immoral. I'm talking about both the Liberals and the NDP and the Green Party and, frankly, Paul Wells, who are demonizing this chief industry. Look at the pile-on here, each one trying to outdo the other, how much they hate oil, gas, pipelines, fracking. Take a look.
And Obama just announced recently landmark legislation moving forward on climate change action. Canada is nowhere to be found.
Mr. Harper and Mr. Trudeau both agree with Keystone XL, which represents the export of 40,000 jobs. I want to create those 40,000 jobs here in Canada.
So, Mr. Mulcair, will you stop the Kinder Morgan pipeline? Are you opposing the Kinder Morgan pipeline as well?
Then he goes abroad, he and his...
But where do these people think jobs come from? And do they not understand that oil sands jobs are manufacturing jobs? And what's Thomas Mulcair talking about, that the Keystone XL would ship 40,000 jobs to the States? What 40,000 jobs? Doesn't he understand that Canada gets rich off selling crude oil to the States? These people have never run a company in their lives. It's no wonder they don't have a clue. But there was a fun moment for me. This is one of my favorite debates where all the other parties and the host, Paul Wells, were shocked that Stephen Harper would dare suggest that Canadians should show some ID before they vote. That's supported by, what, 90% of Canadians? Take a look at the pylon on Stephen Harper, where the others were playing to, what, the press gallery? I don't know. I don't know who they were trying to impress, but take a look at Stephen Harper just enjoying every minute. Take a look.
Well, the Fair Elections Act, the principal change it makes that Mr. Mulcair and the other parties oppose is that voters have to show ID to demonstrate who they are, and there's 40-some different pieces of ID that they can show. Canadians overwhelmingly support that. That's an important reform.
That change was made in 2007.
90% of Canadians
it was already made
believe
before
that you should be able to
show
identification and identify who you are before you vote. And frankly, I think voters should be worried about political parties who would not do that, who think it's fine to have people vote who can't identify themselves.
This is a perfect example of how Mr. Harper creates straw man arguments, creates fears of massive voter fraud. When his party was pressed on examples of people fraudulently voting, they weren't able to prove anything. Indeed, some of his MPs mistakenly testified to things that they actually hadn't seen.
Hey, there was a really weak moment in this debate for Justin Trudeau. It won't surprise you to hear that, and it won't surprise you to know that that came when Trudeau was talking about, well, two related things: how we fight terrorism abroad and at home. Abroad would be our attack, along with some of our NATO allies, against the Islamic State, and at home using Bill C-51. Here, let me show you a clip of that.
I believe that they should, our education over here in the U.S. should help the U.S. or should help South Africa.
Oh, whoops, that's Miss North Carolina. Yeah, I get the two of them mixed up here. Listen to Justin Trudeau trying to explain his support for the coalition that's fighting ISIS, but also his opposition to the coalition. Take a listen.
We support being part of the coalition against ISIL. We simply disagree that a bombing mission is the right way to go about it. When a Prime Minister chooses to send men and women of the Canadian forces into harm's way, there has to be a clear plan, there has to be a clear expectation of success, and there has to be a reasonable justification of the specific action Canada's taking. Not just, these people are bad, therefore we need to do something, it doesn't really matter what. It means that we have to be thoughtful because our allies and, quite frankly, Canadians expect us to be thoughtful.
So you support the coalition that's bombing, but you don't support the coalition doing the bombing that you support. That's clear. And here, listen to him trying to square this circle on C-51, which he likes but doesn't like, and maybe he was naive, but trust him now. I didn't even understand it. Take a listen to him on that.
We supported that legislation because there were specific elements in there that immediately and concretely protect Canadian security, and we're committed to repealing the problematic elements that have been highlighted and actually bringing in the proper oversight that our Five Eyes allies all have by elected legislators over our national security agencies to make sure that we are protecting. Also bringing in sunset and review clause and making sure that we are narrowing and specifying the definitions. We managed at committee to encourage the government to bring in significant significant amendments that removed a number of very problematic elements in it, and we will continue to be productive and constructive in not pretending that there's a political choice to be made. Perhaps it was naive.
Which makes me unusual because, of course, only 30,000 people were watching this streamed on YouTube. Canada has 30 million people, so only 1 in 1,000 of us thought this was the right thing to do with a summer night. But I think it's going to be trench warfare, this debate for the next 2 months. I think that Justin Trudeau and Thomas Mulcair are really going to slog it out for who gets to be the champion of the left. Stephen Harper is just going to try and have that fatherly, above the fray approach and fight this campaign with as many TV ads and an air war. That's my thoughts for now. From TheRebel.media, I'm Ezra Levant.